Bergkamp. Dennis Bergkamp. Dennis Bergkamp. Dennis Bergkamp. Dennis Bergkamp. Oh! Salah. Oh, wow. Oh! That is beyond special. Here's Hawk. Manchester City is still alive here. Balotelli, Aguero!
Dani de Rabona, Silvio de Rabona, goal!
Hey everybody, welcome to the Dictate the Game podcast. I'm your host, Eric St. Peter. We have a new podcast, and we're going to be doing it on the website weekly. We're hoping to do it every single Sunday. And if you don't know too much about Dictate the Game, we're not just a strategy website. We're not just a tactics website. We're not just a story website. We kind of encompass all three. We have over 1,000 viewers a day. We're really hitting the ground running with some new stuff here. And we're going to be talking about that coming up. I wanted to introduce Dom. Hello, Dom.
Hello.
Guy is here with us today.
Hello, how are you doing?
And Luke.
Hello, how are you doing?
Joining us right now also is one of the creators of the website. We were just talking about a little bit before about how the website came to be. And Ryan is with us, one of the three. I mean, man, it was Luke. It was, if I'm not mistaken, it was you and Luke, Ryan. And then was it Dom came on shortly afterwards?
Yeah, that's correct. So we set this up nearly 4 years ago in about August. When I first started uni, I'd been writing for a website called FM Central. And then...
what a throwback.
Yeah, that's when I first started getting into writing through Paul Wanless, and then just sort of wanted to do something by myself. And then I knew of Luke, and then we sort of spoke together, got like a site sorted. And then we've had quite a few members since then, but we sort of expanded to like quite a solid foundation now. And it's been nearly 4 years in the making now, and we're only getting better and better, really. Like, the content is so much better than we began with, and I'm really enjoying it.
But what are you saying about our original content, Ryan?
I just, I'd say it's more to do with the members and sort of management teams expanded. We're sort of getting known in the community a lot more. A lot more people are coming to us for like sort of help and advice and sort of feedback from articles, and so just keeps on getting better and better.
And that's what's interesting for me. I mean, I was aware before I started contributing to Dictate the Game. I was aware of the website because of TN Busquets. I became aware of the website through there. So a lot of sharing within the community is fantastic, and it gets a lot of other people who might not be doing everything that everybody else is noticed. Like I was talking earlier about the website here. I mean, we do so many different things. I mean, there really is something for everybody, but a lot of other websites aren't like that.
Yeah, well, originally when I set this up, Luke can back me up on this. There used to be a Football Manager magazine sort of thing, and we tried to sort of replicate that. And I spoke with Cleon about it to begin with, but we sort of like fell out over it. But now me and Cleon are on good terms, and thankfully he does share our work. But it was originally supposed to be like a magazine, but we didn't really have the resources or the time to sort of do that. And then we sort of just converted it into a website, and then sort of went from there. Like, obviously the magazine thing would be a great idea, but it was really great back then, because I remember Cleon sent me all the copies of the original versions of it, and it was so good, but because it was different as well. And then we sort of just followed the pattern of a website and sort of expanded from there.
Yeah, we originally started off doing quite a lot of interviews with some famous footballers, some people in the community. I think we interviewed Jordan Rideout once. We interviewed James Murray. We interviewed the Northman, who's quite a big person in the FM community. And then more recently, we've done a lot of stuff for like tactical guides and ways to play the Football Manager games. But we've also kept a couple of like real life football things in there as well. So we kind of do a bit of football, a bit of Football Manager, and then a bit about the kind of the community and stuff.
And that's what we're talking about. It's a little bit of everything. So it's something for everybody at Dictate the Game.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah. We like to include all, except Ipswich fans. We don't like them.
I don't know what Luke's going to have to say about that.
Why don't you like Ipswich fans?
You don't like Ipswich fans because you don't like Luke, or?
No, my dad's also an Ipswich fan.
I think I heard Luke say before we started that he thought Ipswich was going to take the league this next year.
Yeah, we'll walk at 95 points at least.
95 points in League One.
Yeah.
Do you want to? Is that going on the record? Yeah.
You putting some money on
I'm not putting it on the record. No,
that?
no, I'm not that confident.
Eric, do you want to talk about like what got you started writing and
Yeah.
go for it.
I mean, I've been playing the game for about 9 years. I think 2009 was the first time I really started picking up and playing. I just fell in love with it because I'm a really analytical brain. Like, I love football for one. I like tactics around it, and I ended up just finding that like other video games I played became repetitive after a while because it was kind of the same thing over and over again. But I've never played a save in Football Manager that was the same from time to time. So it's got that you can always make something different. You can always find out something different. And the community itself is so broad and big between age groups and where people are in the world. I mean, just our website, we have people from Canada. I'm in the US. You guys are in the UK. So is there such a broad fan base with so many different people playing this game that's so complicated at the same time so simple? It's just it's really, really fun, and I've got involved in it. I got more into probably tactical replications. If you're reading the replications like Amazing Ajax or the Galacticos, usually those replications are done by me. The most popular one, though, I think was done by Dom, was the Mourinho replication that still to this day gets like 50 hits a day.
Oh, I think that was me.
That wasn't me. That was
Who
Guy.
was it? It was
Do you
Guy. Sorry about
That was me. Yeah.
Do you want to introduce yourself then, Guy?
Yeah, so I'm Guy. You might know me as FM Vars over on Twitter. So I've been playing since I think probably 14 was the first game I picked up. So pretty new to FM. In the broader term, I guess. I think I transitioned from FIFA probably. I love football, but FIFA just wasn't tactical enough for me and not in depth enough, especially in the career mode.
Definitely.
So that kind of got me to move across to FM, and then I just absolutely loved it. So I've sort of hammered FM since then, sort of 500 odd hours in 16 and 18, and then also this year as well. So I play it quite a bit.
Yeah, Football Manager is one of those games that you either chuck 10 hours into a year or you chuck 2,000 hours into it.
Yeah, definitely.
I'm going to make everybody feel better about themselves when I look up how many hours I played recently. So what are we talking about? You said you had 500 on 16?
I think I've got 500 this year.
This year?
Yeah,
this year?
19, I've got 500, yeah.
I didn't even get 500 in 2018. Like, oh dear.
Yeah.
I'm gonna get really embarrassed in a second. Guess how many hours I have in 2019 already?
Oh, like 800?
1,072.
1,072, yeah. That's pretty impressive.
I haven't done 70.
Gee. Yeah, no.
It's one of those games where you can just leave it running all day and go and do, I don't know, wash the dishes or make yourself a cup of tea and just leave it running kind of thing.
Yeah.
So I wouldn't say I'm like actively playing it for that many hours. No. It's just kind of on my computer.
And also, I used to do quite a lot of simulations for the website. Like I did a save a very long time ago called Ruining English Football, where I gave a load of teams transfer embargoes, and I just kind of project for 40 years, I think it was, and I kind of simulated the whole thing, and so that took quite a lot. That probably took about 45, 50 hours of processing, just leaving it on overnight. Sorry, Luke?
Good John English.
Yeah, was it John English? Yeah, it was. So. Yeah, he was one of the players who went through Liverpool's youth academy and became like an England legend. But yeah, it was.
It would do with a surname like that.
Yeah, exactly. I mean, I would wish I had a player in my intake like that. That'd be incredible. Johnny English. Yeah. And so I think a lot of my more recent years, like I did 700 hours recently in 2017, and that was a lot of it was through just simulating things. But,
yeah,
I still play quite a lot here and there. Just out of curiosity, do you guys play any other games like as much as you play Football Manager? Like obviously Football Manager is probably the most played game for most of us, but do you guys play any other games on the side, or is it just kind of Football Manager now?
I don't play any games apart from it.
You just play Football Manager? Fair enough.
Yeah.
Fair enough.
Yeah, I mean, I'll play PES a little bit, just because it's a little bit more technical than FIFA is. I'll play FIFA a little bit, but I find myself getting bored with FIFA. It's mostly like the sports games that you can go deep into, like either dynasty mode or like a career mode that I get into. That's why I like Football Manager so much, because it's the ultimate career mode.
Yeah, definitely.
I play quite a bit of Rocket League.
Oh, nice. That's a
Um,
great game.
yeah, it is good, really good fun.
Yeah.
Me and my friends call it the hub game because if ever we can't decide what we want to play, we just play Rocket League until we
Yeah.
can think of something else to play. And I guess like survival games as well. I play quite so like DayZ. I've
Yeah.
got like about
H1Z.
200 hours in that, and Rust as well. I've got a
Okay.
few hundred hours in Rust as well. So
Nice. Yeah.
yeah, sort of. I would say so. Like FPS survival games and kind of strategy games as well. So I've got like City Skylines and
I was going to say a lot of my games are creative sandbox manager games.
yeah.
Well, I've got City Skylines. Prison Architect is one of my favorite games.
Oh, cool.
I also like Stardew Valley for some reason. I don't know.
Oh
why.
yeah, I've been meaning to get Stardew Valley.
I've got it at Christmas this year, and I've just it's farming.
Yeah,
but it hooks.
Farmville.
I don't know why, but it hooks you. Stardew Valley. I like playing games like Civ. The Civ games.
I've got Civ. Yeah,
I think they're long, but they're good fun. And
Yeah.
I've played a metric. I don't know if we're doing swearing on this podcast, but I've played a lot of Dota.
okay.
I've got more hours in Dota, almost as many hours in Dota than I have in some Football Manager games. But
Wow.
it's very good fun. But yeah, I mean, being a university student, I have time
Yeah,
for no reason, so I just kind of end up playing these games. But yeah, no, Rocket League, definitely. I love that game.
yeah. Rocket League's good fun.
There's so much information, so much data that goes into, I mean, just thinking about the database for Football Manager, you have something really interesting coming up. Cleon, one of the biggest people in the community, put out on Twitter that he really wanted someone to do a Moneyball type, like a sabermetrics type. If you don't know what that is, sabermetrics was first used in baseball in the US to be able to really be able to find out just almost through raw data who the best baseball players to play on your team were and to trade for and to sign. So he was interested in having someone do a Moneyball type piece for FM, and it looks like Dictate the Game is going to be the one that's going to be on the front foot to be able to start doing things like that.
Yeah, so I saw his tweet the other day, and yeah, I'm doing a data analysis masters in September, so it's something that sort of sparked my interest definitely with the Moneyball side of things. And one thing that I think a common misconception is people think Moneyball is just buying low and selling high, but there's a hell of a lot more to it than that, and it's more about exploiting market trends and using your data to find overlooked players. So I think if you think about when it was pioneered in baseball with the Oakland A's, they were bringing in players who, like Scott Hatterberg, who had completely ruptured a nerve in his throwing arm, so he was basically considered completely useless by the Red Sox, but his statistics for first base looked really good. So it's kind of finding those unwanted players, maybe who might be deemed too old or injury prone or something like that, and trying to exploit the market like that. So yeah, I'm trying to use the data within FM to sort of guide my sign-ins, if you like.
Sabermetrics and Moneyball uses really one of the major, at least statistical measures it uses is something called WAR, which is wins above replacement, and it gives people like that's kind of their master stat. That's their kind of key to what they're looking at. So in football, in FM especially, it's going to be very difficult to find one master stat because it really isn't a situation where there is one master stat. So how are you going to go about finding that statistical knowledge base to be able to really open up a whole bunch of different ways of being able to play the game?
Yeah, so that's the big difficulty with trying to do it in football, is that it's such a fluid game and you're not looking at one particular stat per position. So I guess the way I'm looking at it is I'm doing a 3-5-2 as my formation. So I'm trying to split my players up into groups where I want particular stats for particular roles. So for instance, my central midfielder, there's going to be two centre mids. Basically, I just want them to tackle, win the ball back, and then recycle the ball, whether that's to my number 10, who's going to be like the main creative influence, or to my wing backs. So the only kind of stats I'm looking for there is tackles, interceptions, passes completed, distance covered, that kind of thing. I just want sort of hard-working centre midfielders who are going to just sort of put a shift in, really.
Are you going to so you're splitting them up position to position, because Cleon had mentioned something about doing it as roles. Are you going to be looking into that? Or are you going to be working more into splitting the pitch up into different areas and doing it that way?
Yeah, I think definitely split it up into different positions. It's difficult to if you were playing total football and you wanted everyone to be really good at passing and first touch and all that, then you'd be looking at those metrics for all across the field. But I think splitting it up is something that makes it a lot easier and a lot more manageable.
We'll be looking for that next week on the site. Do you know which day that's going to be coming out?
Wednesday, I think.
Wednesday. All right. So we'll be looking for that. Is it going to be a multi-part series or just really one article?
Yeah. So we're picking up where I left off with União Madeira. I've moved over to Crystal Palace in the Premier League. So it feels like a good place to do that, to draw on sort of extensive scouting network. So I can look at a lot of players from a lot of different countries. So yeah, picking up from there.
Do you want to quickly talk about how everyone kind of joined? Because obviously, me and
I'm
Luke.
not gonna lie, I do not remember how half the people joined.
I think it was all just kind of through us advertising for writers. And
Yeah, I
things.
think Eric was through the SI forms, or it might be Nahar.
Igor contacted me for he contacted me through the SI form.
I think I got contacted through Twitter. I think.
Oh right.
Just reached out needing writers.
Yeah.
I said I would contribute the odd piece.
And then you ended up getting much more involved.
And now I'm just yeah. Most of my blogging now is through Dictate the Game rather than my own website.
How do you actually get involved, Dom?
How did I get involved?
Yeah, I can't remember.
I got involved because I got a son in Football Manager.
Oh, Paul Lai.
I don't know if you guys were in FM Central, but basically I wasn't an admin, but I was kind of like a moderator or something, and I was kind of quite involved. And I had a really, I used to post about my saves and all not, and then I think I had a Man United save, and I got a son in the Football Manager, and that is one of the, for those of you who don't know, getting a son in Football Manager is like a 1 in 10,000 chance. And I always, whenever I get like a youth intake, I always like save and reload like 10 times or something to try and see if I get a son, and then I just kind of leave it. But I was like, oh, do you know what? I'm going to try and get a son. And I tried probably about 100, 200 times, and I finally got a son, freaked out, and he was the worst player I've ever had. He was awful. And
Did you play him anyway?
Oh yeah, I was England manager. He played. He became England captain like 2 days later or something. I was just he's playing every game, and
Nepotism.
I kind of created this kind of facade that he was a real liability, and I was like this really famous. I was England manager. I was Man United manager. I was like this world class manager, and then my son, I'd basically brought through the youth academy because he's my son, and he was like off at festivals, like doing all sorts of stuff. He was getting drunk and getting in trouble with the press and all this, and I made up all of this kind of stories. Oh, it was so funny looking back at it. And it was like, I made all these fake Lad Bible posts. He was on BBC Sport and all this. Oh, it was very, very funny. And then I think you guys picked me up and said, oh, do you want to do this regularly and talk about this guy? And I ended up coming on to do more regular stuff. But yeah, it was very funny at the time.
Do you have a kid in real life? Are you going to call him Paul?
I don't think Paul's a very popular name at the moment. And I really
Could be like retro by the time.
Yeah, Paul, it could come back round,
Yeah, come back around. Yeah.
Yeah, these kind of things go in circles. What are the names these days? I think Paul's a real possibility. No, I mean it was. I mean, I was very lucky to get a son. I don't know if you guys have ever had a son in Football Manager.
No, I have never had it. No, never had it. I didn't even know that was a thing. So that ends up happening, like 1 in 10,000 chance if you.
Yeah, if your manager is over 35. That's the only condition. You don't have to. There was a myth a while ago that you had to play for more than 10 seasons at the same club, but that's a complete lie. You just need to be over 35 in game, and then there's a 1 in 10,000 chance of a player coming through with the same surname as you, and then in his information it will have your name and then brackets father.
Oh no way! I've never had that happen before. In 9-10 years of playing, I've never had that happen before.
It's one of those things that no one. I've only seen like 10 people that have had sons, and there was also no limit on how many sons you can have. You could have more than one son in the same intake. You could have a team entirely consisting of your children.
Like quintuplets. Like you have quintuplets and they all get into your side.
It's a nice little feature. Like, I don't think it affects that many people. It's a bit like the April Fool's thing that they do.
I was going to say, yeah.
Yeah, that's quite
I
cool.
love the little added features and stuff like that. Yeah, so the April Fool's one, what did it say? Like, you've got a massive transfer, like budget injection from the board or something of like
A takeover worth $500 billion or something.
yeah,
like that.
something ridiculous into your transfer budget.
Yeah,
Yeah,
it was very funny. I like it.
yeah, it's nice to have those little things that kind of lighten the mood, I guess, because it can be quite a serious game.
I feel like the community is very they optimize a lot of things, and it's like you either play it right or you don't play it right. Like
Yeah, I agree. I think there is a lot of that. It's how to play the game the right way is most of the articles in the community. I think everyone's always looking at the right way to play and a better way to play. So I remember seeing a post a while back. A guy had started a save as a manager called Rari Headnap.
yeah, you were telling me about this. Yeah, go on.
Yeah, and so he'd basically just gone into a club and was trying to ruin their finances effectively and just completely mismanage their finances. So he was signing like terrible free agents on 5-year deals who were already sort of 34 and giving them ridiculous numbers. I think he signed like Yunus Kabul and just players like that, and just really trying hard to play the game the wrong way, I guess. I suppose it's how you want to play the game, really, isn't it?
No, and I mean, I was just about to say, and I think that that's the difference between the two kind of players too. Like, if you want to play, like, I'm the kind of guy when I play video games, I'm always playing like career mode and trying to get as in depth as I possibly can. And there's other people who want to play like arcade mode in video games where they're just playing, you know. So I mean, it's the kind, but it's definitely the kind of game that if you have to get a vested interest in to be able to play the right way and to be able to have fun with, because you could rage quit just from it being too hard within seconds if you don't go to the community and try to figure out what are some different ways I can play the game, because you really need to be able to do that because it's just not easy.
Yeah. It's one of those games as well, I think, where the more you put into it, the more you get out of it as well.
Yeah, definitely.
Which I guess makes people come back for more in the long run, I would say.
Yeah, so this is going up on the YouTube, yeah?
Yeah.
The YouTube, yeah. And I think SoundCloud and iTunes as well, if we can get it
ad
on.
revenue. Let's get it.
Spotify is a good shout as well. I don't know
As many different ones as you can get it on, yeah.
how you would go about doing
Give it
this.
a go. And what else do you guys think we should put on the YouTube channel? Do you want to just do like a Q&A with Luke? Yeah, just a personal Q&A, just me and Luke. I'd be up for that.
That sounds great.
Why don't we do a tour of Hume's Bakery in the
Oh my God,
yes.
yes.
Pimp my crib style bakery.
Come and buy our cakes.
How to make a 442 cake.
Yeah.
No, I think it'd be nice to put a couple of things up on there. If we decide to do like, I was talk a while ago that we were going to do some draft mode against each other.
Yeah, that kind of stuff, like match engine stuff,
Yeah.
of us playing would be a good thing to put up
Or
there.
like, if any of us like, you know, like the whatever it was, Rari Netnap or whatever his name was.
Yeah, Rari Headnap, yeah.
Rari Headnap. If you want to do like a game breaking thing or something, you could do it on there. And yeah, I think that'd be nice to kind of add a bit of like liveness.
That would be something I would watch. If so, say I listened along to a podcast and then that podcast was doing a head-to-head series where they were all playing the game and then commentating, like, or
having like
about
live
the game.
commentary.
Like, so we could play against each other, be in the Discord, and then shout at each other about the game. I think that would be something that people would be interested in as well, because if they've followed along with the podcast and they know us a bit, then that's definitely something
they can understand things.
Yeah.
You know, yeah, definitely. I think that'd be good.
And now that after 23 or so minutes, Dom, I have my headset fixed. We can talk about the website, dictatethegame.com. Dictatethegame.com is your one-stop shop for all things Football Manager. We talk about some football topics as well. We're going to be doing some stuff on our YouTube channel. So if you're checking us out right now on the YouTube channel, make sure you like, subscribe, and share. Apple Podcasts, make sure you subscribe to us there. And as always, check out the 3 articles that we have every single week at dictatethegame.com, plus the podcast on Sundays. And one of the articles that we had this past week, the Dynamo Project, you might understand and you might see the Dynamo Project from the website at dictatethegame.com. The author of the Dynamo Project had a really cool article that we had last week. Ihor is on with us right now. Good morning, Ihor, from Montreal, right?
Oh, good morning, guys. I'm the author of the Dynamo Project, which has been ongoing since I started the website. Basically, this was back in the end of October. Actually, yeah, I remember the exact date, 31st of October, when I joined. That's when I did my first entry, and it's basically. Thanks again. Thanks for having me on the podcast. And so I was it's like a long save basically that I started with my a team from Ukrainian league, Dynamo Kiev. Well, I guess what's unusual about this project is sort of sometimes, I mean, I don't do a typical every time I don't just write about the team. Like I sort of do spin-offs. Like I sometimes use my save to test out a tactic. So I'll sometimes I won't discuss that much like narrative in terms of like, you know, what's happening in the season, or I mean, I've done it. Like so far, I did I'm on my third season, but I sort of get sidetracked a lot by doing like experimentations on a tactic. And so this time, the last article I did was actually it's still Dynamo, but I found that I have a really interesting player that came through my youth ranks and in my Dynamo Kiev save, and I'm trying to make a tactic around this one player. I guess I'm not gonna spoil anything. I'm saying he's basically like a really good number 10, like a classic number 10 attacking midfielder, and sort of it inspired me to write about the Fantasista, which is a bit of it's a term like that's used in Italy a lot, or like it's to describe players like Maradona or Messi, like these sort of like star number 10s, like on a team, and I tried to make a tactic basically centering on this kind of player.
You teased us too because you didn't give us the tactic yet.
I didn't exactly. Like I dropped a little hint at the end of the article, and like I tried to make it a bit playful. Like I asked the members of the community to try to guess what this team was, and I actually had quite a few guesses over at on our website and also at the forums, at the Sega Interactive forums.
Is anybody right?
Actually, there was one. Yeah, one person was right. They guessed
right.
it. So I guess the deal was that if somebody guesses it, then I'm gonna upload the tactic with my next article. Like I never done that before. I never I guess I never used the Steam or any other ways to upload. So I'm gonna have to figure it out and put it up there for people to try it out. And if it's the club is actually Porto, so I'm gonna recreate Porto's tactic from 2004 Champions League win.
That's the Mourinho, the Deco, the...
Exactly, yeah. That was like, it's one of my favorite teams of all time, I think. I mean, of course, you have the Mourinho as the manager, and I think really, like, to me, that was probably his... I know he went on like to have like great success at Inter Milan, at Chelsea, and well, not so much success at United, but to me, I think that was his highlight. I find like when he won the Champions League with Porto, like in 2004, I think that was really special. Like to take a team like Porto, like I mean, I'm not saying they were a bad team, but
who wins with Porto? I mean, who wins the Champions League with Porto out of nowhere?
Exactly. I mean, they were underdog even at that time. I think they were very much like a workman-like team. Like they were a very hardworking team of guys, and good. That was amazing. But in terms of like star talent, and I don't think at that time any of the names really stood out, except maybe for Deco. Like Deco was sort of their Fantasista, was the star player even before they won the league, Champions League. But he took this team and just through his tactical genius, and he made them really work really well together. And that's what really I want to recreate that sort of tactic that he used, which was it was basically a narrow diamond. So I mean, I put the picture like sort of I put at the end of my article. That's the picture of what it's gonna look like, and then I'm gonna try to recreate it with Dynamo Kiev.
In recent years, I don't know, of course, with the Manchester United stuff with Mourinho, I don't know that he gets enough credit. I mean, I'm a guy who likes defensive football. I mean, I'm a guy who likes defensive football, and he's very defensive. But that defensive counterattacking style, I mean, I loved watching the Inter teams play. And Porto was great, too. So, I mean, I don't know. I don't think he's a guy who gets enough credit.
Yeah, I agree. Like I think maybe what happened with Man United, like he tried to play like similar style of defensive football, but I'm not sure. It's maybe the team just wasn't the players didn't mesh well with that style. But I think for him to really to succeed, like he needs a team that's not like a star team like Man United. Like if he goes back, maybe tries like I heard some rumors that he's linked with Celtic.
Yeah, I heard those rumors as well.
So
I don't know if he'll
like,
take it. But...
Yeah, it was a bit of a like for him, I guess, to drop down from United to Celtic. But I mean, maybe if he goes back to Portugal and like goes back to his roots, like with Benfica or another Portuguese team.
So I've just found it. He works for a company called on a show called On the Touchline with Jose Mourinho, and he covers Champions League this year. And it's on a show called RT, which is a TV network in America, I believe.
Okay.
Oh,
but I don't know.
Apparently,
that's what he's up to these days. I can't see him going back to a big team. I don't know who would take him.
not this time. I mean, I could see him. He'll drop down to one of those one team league teams, and then perhaps he'll do the thing like he did with Milan, where he'll go back up and make his way back up again. But I don't think anybody's going to take a risk on him, just because. I mean, he lasts about 3 seasons, and then everybody revolts against him.
Yep, that's the 3-season syndrome with him, isn't it? Yeah.
Yeah. Well, I mean, there was no revolt in I don't know, like Inter, like in Milan. Like what happened there? Like he got a better job offer somewhere else. Is that why he left? It wasn't because they were not successful. Like,
yeah, he went to. Did he go to Chelsea or did he go to Real Madrid after that?
He went into then Real, then back to Chelsea. But I think that's quite a good sign of a good manager if you can go to different leagues and do really, really well in them. The other leagues are pretty good. I know that we've got 4 finalists all from England in the 2 finals. The scary thing is that I wrote an article last year about this time, just before the World Cup, and said it was basically an article slating England and being like, we're never going to win a World Cup or any European competitions because of the way that we look at youth players, and we don't really focus on we focus on 1 or 2 players per generation, and it never works. And then a season later, we've got to the semi-final of the Champions League, of the World Cup, and we've got 4 finalists in the Champions League and Europa League. It's like, are you kidding me?
So it's aged really well, is what you're saying.
Yeah, it's aged super well, super well. I'm just like,
I'm surprised that one of those finalists is not Manchester City. Like,
yeah,
I mean, you have Liverpool, which is not a surprise. I mean, like they've been doing really well all season long. But then the fact that the 2 top dogs right now is Manchester City and Liverpool. But you don't have, I don't know, like, I mean, they have a lot of difficulty, like, getting success, I guess, in...
well, Man City are on for a triple this year. They've got the league and the 2 cups, the domestic ones.
I'm guessing they really want that big price, though. I mean, that's something that's...
yeah. Oh, yeah, the Champions League's the one that they all want, obviously. It's crazy to think that, we've got 4 teams in the 4 English teams in the Champions League and Europa League final, and they're not even going to win the league.
I live in the Boston area, and the owners of the Boston Red Sox own now Liverpool.
Yeah.
So I've kind of de facto, that's become my Premier League team because of that. And as of a few years ago.
Big cap.
And I said, there's no way they're going to beat Barcelona. After it was 3-0, I said, that's it. I said, that was a really nice run. Let's just focus on the league. That's great.
That's great. That's crazy.
And then all of a sudden, 4-0. I never thought that I would see a Barcelona team be beaten 4-0 without Mo Salah, without Firmino.
Well, they did lose 3-0 to Roma a couple of years ago, didn't they?
They did. Still.
I didn't see it.
But they're still, without Mo Salah, without Firmino, Divock Origi, are you kidding me?
He was a quality player that day.
That day.
Oh, not most days. Ehor, do you support a Premier League team, or do you follow much of the Premier League?
Yes, I do. I support Arsenal.
Oh, right, okay.
So I'm happy for them to be in the Europa League final. A bit sad that they haven't had much success in the league, though. But
that's Arsenal for you.
But I think they're getting there.
What do you think about Emery, though?
I think he's done really great things with since joining, like Emery. I was a big fan of Arsene, of course, before Wenger. But I think they have a bright future ahead of them with the new manager.
I think he's had a pretty good season, all things considered. You've got teams like Man City and Liverpool doing what they're doing, and it's his first season in. He's got to a Europa League final. He's done pretty well there.
Yeah. It's hard to compete with Liverpool and Man City right now.
Yeah, they're unstoppable right now. And I mean, it's going to be interesting to see it coming up, to see what happens with the league there. But we're definitely going to, on a future podcast, break down these European games, in detail and get everybody on here and talk about what's going to go on. Because, I mean, an all-England Europa League and Champions League final is a big deal, especially for Dom.
I mean, for me, for Ryan, for Luke, for Guy, all of the English lot, I don't think we've stopped drinking, actually, since it happened. We've just been in a constant euphoria. Definitely. And it's right during all of our exam periods, which is really, really useful for us. But yeah, no, it's been great.
Ihor, thank you very much for coming on with us. We appreciate it. If you missed it, you can check out his article on dictatethegame.com right now, as well as everything else we have on the website, dictatethegame.com. Don't forget, Guy with his Moneyball article coming up, a direct request from Cleon himself.
Mm-hmm.
We're going to be tackling that at dictatethegame.com on, I believe, Wednesday. And make sure you check out YouTube channel. Make sure you subscribe to Apple Podcasts. Whatever you got to do to be able to be connected with Dictate the Game, do it. And we'll talk to you next week.
Is there anything you wanted to add, Luke?
No, I think so.
All right, cool.
Dennis Bergkamp! Dennis Bergkamp! Dennis Bergkamp! Dennis Bergkamp! Dennis Bergkamp! Oh! Salah! Oh, wow! Oh! That is beyond special! Here's Hulk! Deeney! Manchester City are still alive here. Balotelli! Aguero!
Dani de Ramón.